How we doing, chat? We good? Why does the mic feel different today? I feel like it's higher, but then it was just lower. How we doing, boys and girls? Happy Saturday. Weekend is upon us. If you guys are sitting in the Top Shot pack lobby, hope you get one of the best packs in 2 weeks. But man, what a good day so far. Good night last night, right? You guys had some fun last night out there in the mean streets of the DFS lobbies. Quick recap here. Boston takes down the Pacers. Sabonis 44.5. Really, the best two plays from this Pacers team. Miles Turner 17 and 10 and 3 blocks to boot, and Justin Holiday dropped 36 at 5K. Everyone else was expendable. And then on the Celtics side, Kemba Walker did it. 33 minutes, 32 real points, and got himself almost to 50 fantasy points. And the Time Lord, Robert Williams, 42.75. Daniel Tice with a 30. Centers against the Pacers are absolutely a thing, have been a thing for a while. So keep an eye on that going forward. I had no Brown, I had no Tatum here. Did love Chris Paul on the stream yesterday. He dropped a smooth 50, 14 and 15 in 35 minutes. Figured if that game could stay close, he has a propensity to drop 40 plus, and he did. DeAndre Ayton with 40 and a quarter off of 22 real points. On the Bulls side, Thad Young was the leading scorer at 34.5 DraftKings points. Pistons and the Kings. I said we could play 4 Kings yesterday, and I had a whole lot of Kings. They were basically the core of all of my lineups, and really Buddy Hill is the only way you could have got that one wrong. We don't play Corey Joseph in this house. But Bagley, Rashawn Holmes, De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes. De'Aaron Fox was a tier 1 for me, and Harrison Barnes as well. So they got it. The Pistons side, we felt like could be a little bit more tricky pre-flop. Jeremy Grant, 40 and a quarter. Josh Jackson, 32. Everyone else just kind of is what it is. Dennis Smith Jr. at 27 minutes to drop that 30. Where was that? A couple slates back. And then Mason Plumlee, point per minute in 21 minutes. But he was in foul trouble. 5 fouls throughout the night. And that helped Isaiah Stewart get 21 minutes of action and drop 25 at 3,100. And that's key because the chalk value center of the slate was Bismack Biyombo. So an elite pivot. And for our buddy Russ Miller, I don't know if he's going to be in the chat today, but that was a $100,000 pivot for him. So insane play, insane pivot. Very sharp. On the Hornets side, PJ Washington, just 29 minutes. I thought that in the absence of Cody Zeller, Washington would play a lot of backup 5 and get a lot of small ball run just regardless because of how the Warriors play. But he ended up just getting 29 minutes, but that was fine because the play still worked out. He was plus 19. They lost by 9. Plus 19. Dropped 15 and 10 in his 29 minutes of work. LaMelo with 41. No one else was really somebody that you had to go out of your way to get. Malik Monk, solid 30. Draymond Green with a triple-double with a block and a steal. 11, 12, and 19 assists. That's actually insane for 61 fantasy points. Steph and Kelly Oubre also breaking through that 40 fantasy point wall. The Lakers beat the Blazers at home. A low-scoring affair. Dame Dollar still got you his obligatory 50 fantasy points, and LeBron James 3 assists shy of a triple-double, but added 7 stocks for FanDuel purposes. 3 blocks, 4 steals. That in itself, 21 FanDuel points. So huge FanDuel play. Dennis Schroeder, I thought I landed on him quite a bit as a just kind of stocking stuffer guard play. It worked out just fine. Clippers won the back-to-back against Memphis. Kawhi with a have 53, like he had to score 53. And J-Val curtain calls a 40 with another 40. And Kyle, the Andersons got tickets to the game. How'd they get tickets? He dropped 40 in the quarter in 32 minutes. So good spot there. Jimmy Butler keeps getting it done. 59.5. 2 assists shy of a trip dub. Bam Adebayo 47 and a quarter. Every now and then it feels like we get a center have a big game against Rudy Gobert. And that was one of those nights. Adebayo almost tripped double against Rudy. I think a lot of people thought that He might have been questionable. Donovan Mitchell, 46.5 fantasy points last night, 30 real points. Solid play, right? In the grand scheme of things, there were better plays, but he's the guy we want to keep an eye on tonight because Mike Conley's not going to play this leg of a back-to-back. And Mitchell, we know how his usage goes up, and he's already a high-minute player. The Thunder, SGA, apple of the eye. I thought he would be one of the strongest sub-9K guard plays. He was all right. He was a bucket away from a 40 bomb, but the rest of the Thunder were super, super solid. Theo Maledon, 12 assists, a double-double for him in 34 minutes. Darius Bazley, 39. Ty Jerome debuted for them, I believe, in this game, 22 minutes. Big results at 29.75. Lou Dort, 29 and a quarter. The Thunder able to win. Meanwhile, Trae Young, the Hawk's not loading for me here. I can pull it up in a minute. But meanwhile, Trae Young was really the only Hawk I got to, but Clint Capella had a pretty big game for fantasy. And then the Rockets side, PJ Tucker with an uncharacteristic 27 and a quarter DKP, 11.7 rebounds. So many people have been trying to get that type of game out of PJ Tucker, but do not be fooled. We're not going back there. Lowry with a easy click, 58 and a quarter. One of the highest owned plays on the slate. Tier 1, Tier 2s. The little player coach joke with the coaching staff down 11 rebounds. Rockets playing ultra small. Norman Powell, Fred VanVleet, Chris Boucher, kind of underwhelming, right? I think a lot of it's expected a little bit more out of Boucher, 5.6K. No Pascal Siakam drawing the start. Yeah, just not even a point per minute in what was really a super solid matchup. So he had like 0 fantasy points for the first 6-7 minutes, right? But that was our slate. That was our Friday night slate of action. Hopefully you guys walked out with more than you walked in with. Capella was the 54. And looking. I guess Trae didn't do that great, did he? Trae Young, 36. So what are you going to do? We're on to the next one. Happy Saturday afternoon. I'm going to keep an eye on my top shot number in line. Chat, hope you guys are doing okay today. Shout out to Van Jones, Kenny, Espinel, Lincoln Hawk. Great filibuster. I got Jokic, Towns, and Simmons on Yahoo. Van Jones says, greetings, Gun. What do you think Harden's ownership will be? A lot. About an hour before we went live, Kyrie Irving rolled out. So, yeah, I think that game's going to be just a great source of real points and fantasy points. And James Harden should be the highest floor-ceiling ratioed guy on the slate. And it's not a secret anymore, right? For how many years now? James Harden is the only useless guy on the team. You play James Harden. So me personally, I might just hit that little lock button next to his name. But I couldn't see myself starting a conversation of less than 50%. And move from there. Van Jones, my 313 DKP was a welcome addition to my bankroll now. So let's go, Van Jones. What up, Crispy? I won Tiers Quarter Arcade last night. Let's go. Let's go. I haven't looked at Tiers in a while, but buddy Ryan, he was asking yesterday for that tier. I made a Tiers strategy video about how I would approach multi-entry in Tiers, I chopped him that video. When you play Tiers, Crispy, do you multi-enter? Like you run 20, 100, 50, 50? Because I don't know. My approach was kind of find a couple spots where I just lock in a guy. That's what I was doing in NFL. Just lock in a couple of tiers and then script around that. And it was really, really good. But lately, every time I look at tiers, there's some really rough and tough decisions to be made. Man. So we're out of bang today. So we're using coffee. A little warmer. But check out this cup. You guys from the South, this is a Whataburger Yeti. And it's really good. I got it as a Christmas gift from one of the RunDFS.com subscribers, Taco, years back. And I still use it to this day. So shout out to Taco for getting me a very reliable coffee cup that I literally use all the time. What's up, Earth to Air? What up, Darius? What up, EB? You guys doing all right today? Happy Saturday. Anybody else in line for Top Shot? here's what we're looking like on my line here. There's 16,000 spots left, so probably while I'm on the air, I'm going to have to do a little second screen purchase, but it'll be a couple clicks and we'll be ready to go. No Raj today. It's fine. We don't need him. But let's get caught up on some news, shall we? Earlier, Kyrie Irving injury recovery ruled out. He's not going to suit up today. It's going to be all James Harden. JJ Redick doubtful. Perhaps some Nickel Alexander-Walker adjustment. Maybe that many more minutes for Josh Hart. LaMarcus Aldridge questionable. Didn't start the last game. So just because you don't see him in the starting lineup, not 100% that he's not active. But we'll look for reports. I don't think anyone here is interested in playing Aldridge anyway. Maybe a boost there for Jakob Poeltl. Maybe some Trey Lyles considerations. Kristaps Porzingis is probable. So him and Luka versus Harden is going to be fun lineup constructions. Elfrid Payton doubtful. Another start on the horizon there for Derrick Rose likely. Davis Bertans questionable. Cedi Osman questionable. And we saw, I think Taurean Prince is out as well. So we saw Dean Wade kind of start in that spot. And now we have a midday downgrade to questionable for Malcolm Brogdon. And I do think this is somewhat significant. Because I was not really on the Pacers or anything like that. But if you take out Brogdon's 8.277 and you promote TJ McConnell, who's been kind of a point per minute flirting with 30 as it is, TJ McConnell might become one of the more sweetheart value point guard plays on the slate. It definitely makes a lot of sense to look at Sabonis in the absence of Brogdon as well. So Brogdon's not officially out. But a lot of times we see these midday questionables end up being closer to out than in. So we'll be monitoring that. As always, chat, keep me honest while we're breaking down these games. If some news drops, spam the chat, let me know. Ben snapping. Whataburger the truth. Number 2 toasted buns. Let's go. Bro, the patty melt, so good. So good. My girl comes down from Minnesota, right? And up there they got a place called Culver's. And we had this little pre-flop debate on what was going to be better, Culver's or Whataburger. And I guess we're both stuck in our ways because she didn't like Whataburger, I didn't like Culver's. But man, Whataburger's so good. What's up, Tylen? Love your channel. New here. This is my 3rd year playing DFS. I hand build all my lineups even when I do 150. You hand build 150? Bro, you're wilding. Taking this year as another learning year, don't know how to use CSVs. I want to learn to cut down time I use to build lineups. Well, step 1 is not hand build. Have bagged 2 WNBA tournaments, each win. Nice. Yo, WNBA, that's respect. You got to do some grinding there. News is not as prevalent and easy to access as NBA. But in the NBA, if you're hand building 150, bro, how? Jesus. I absolutely would have to encourage you to get access to an optimizer. And it's not even to say, so like if you would have hit me with I hand build 150 baseball lineups, that's not as crazy. But for NBA, because of how fluid you have to be in reacting to news, man, hand building more than 5 for me is ridiculous. So getting to 10, 20, 50, I definitely would encourage you to get a hold of an optimizer. I personally use Fantasy Labs. I'm not affiliated with them. I just use their product. And the ease of access to hand vetting everyone in your player pool, setting exposures, setting correlations, stuff like that. And then clicking that opto button, 8 minutes before go time. That's kind of what I do. And that's the best way I find to cut down on time while still being able to absorb, digest, react to news, and so on and so forth. So I know there's a lot of pride to be had in hand building, but if you multi-entry for NBA, at least NBA, because of how news intense it is, I would encourage you to get a hold of Opto. I think you could get away with hand building NFL and baseball to an extent, but NBA is rough. But welcome. First of all, welcome. I don't think I've seen you in the chat. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the community. And I hope you stick around. Hope you succeed. Mr. Portugal. What up, Gun? That Biombo fade. 2,300 to the house. Let's go, baby. Let's go. I'm from Texas, but I live in Wisconsin. Me and my girl argue about the same thing. I guess they're world renowned for the cheese curds. The cheese curds are alright, but for me, it was just like salty mozzarella balls. But the burgers, man, it's gotta be important. That spicy ketchup, oh my god. Takes 4 hours to hand build 150, and that's the thing, man. Like if you started 4 hours before lock to hand build for today's slate, you're probably not like you don't have time to prepare for the Kyrie news that just bombshelled us, right? And then if something else happened later, where like a Porzingis, you know what I'm saying? Like the news is so constant and unexpected, unpredictable. You just gotta be super fluid, and yeah, you just gotta get to the opto. Bro, where's Russ? I want to brag on Russ, but I don't want to like. I don't want to brag on him if he's not here, man. He's got to take his victory lap, hoist that trophy in victory lane. So I guess maybe next time Russ is around, or if he pops in later, you guys see him in the YouTube chat a lot. He's also in the Discord. Russell Miller banked the was it 555 last night? 100K. Super elated, happy for him. But if he shows up later, maybe we'll pause for the cause and show him some love here. All right, top shot line. Where we at? 14,500 in front of us. That's fine. We can jump into this head first, get some work done. Game number 1 tonight, the Cleveland Cavaliers up against the Philadelphia 76ers. Projected starting five for the Cavs. Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, Isaac Okoro, Dean Wade, and Jared Allen taking on Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Danny Green, Mike Scott, and Joel Embiid. Tobias Harris out for the Sixers. We got a 2-2-2, another 1-2 as our total. 11.5 point spread in favor of the home team 76ers. Sixers, one of the better home teams in basketball, but they are without Tobias Harris here, so maybe we run a quick on-off court tool here to kind of see what kind of impact the absence of Tobias will have metrically for the Sixers. On the Cavs side, we know Prince, Larry Nance, Kevin Love, Andre Drummond, Matthew Dellavedova all out. Cedi Osman questionable. I think he's doubtful. I think that's what we read. Cedi Osman, no, he's questionable. So if Cedi Osman did play, maybe he starts there at that 4 spot. Sans Dean Wade, but nonetheless, the Cavs are really in a less than desirable spot, both in real life from a basketball standpoint and really for fantasy. I mean, Jared Allen's moved up to 8.4K. I like playing Jared Allen in the right spot. I don't know if this is the right spot, and I don't know that the opportunity cost is worth the risk reward for me. So I can see myself early on being away from all of the Cavs. But let's go run an on-off court tool for the 76ers. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to put Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid on, and we're going to take off Tobias Harris. Harris went down in that game against the Mavericks. And you're probably going to see a lot of hype on like Mike Scott as a value play. I don't really have a reason not to. I don't know that it's a guarantee that Mike Scott would start. We were projecting him to start, but I still think they could go with Matisse Thybulle, especially with the Cavs being a little bit more small. A guy like Matisse Thybulle, and they might even get a little crazier and put like Ben Simmons at the 4 and put like Shake Milton at the 1. You know what I'm saying? So I do think it's fair to project Mike Scott as a starter, but I also think it's fair to not put Tobias Harris minutes on him and kind of be safe when you're approaching that situation. So Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid on, Tobias Harris off. We got just 94 minutes of sample size this season. The defensive rating of 98.8, which is elite. Offensive rating 120, also elite. A 37.3% assist rate there for Ben Simmons, 13.7% on Embiid. Embiid occupies a 38.4% usage rate with a 1.3 fantasy point per minute production behind that. Let's elongate on that sample size, go back to last year, 2019-2020, and just kind of see if those numbers stay true, stay consistent. We pushed it to about 170 plus minutes, still a high usage, 28% on Embiid, 1 over fantasy point per minute, and the assist rate for Ben Simmons still at over 30%, 34%. So just out of curiosity, where does Ben Simmons' assist rate go from 34% down? It drops to 30 30.9% last year, and if we move that back to this year, was that 34 go down to on Ben, it goes to 31. So he loses about a 3 to 4% assist rate in the absence of or with Tobias Harris on, so gains a little bit. So maybe it's worth looking at some Ben Simmons assist props out there. I don't think that's a crazy approach. He's 9K, 8,700. Ben Simmons, that is. He's going to be really lost in the sauce in terms of ownership. There's going to be a lot of allure on Luka against the Nets and a lot of allure on James Harden without Kyrie. So I don't really see a lot of people pushing the issue on Ben Simmons, but it's definitely a matchup that he can get the better of. So if you wanted to get a little different with a little bit of Ben Simmons, I wouldn't talk you down. And then Joel Embiid, I'm curious to see where he winds up because we're looking at how efficient he is with his fantasy point per minute production. And at 10.3K on both sides, he has 50 to 70 fantasy point potential here at the house against the Cavs. And it's not really a metrical argument here, but slate to slate, game to game, there's a league-wide set of eyes watching Joel Embiid versus LeBron James in the MVP race. And this is one of those give me games, right? The Cavs, you should easily handle the Cavs, but is this a stat pad opportunity for Joel Embiid to come out here and have one of those monstrous games and just put up big fantasy numbers on the Cavs? I think so, and I got lots of interest in Embiid. So we kind of have to find a happy balance, a happy little medium of potential ownership. Past that, I think if we draw some lines here, get a little creative on what Doc Rivers could have rotation-wise, I think it's a little lazy to just run and gun with Mike Scott and expect that to be the answer. Like I said, I think there's cases that Matisse Thybulle would get a decent run of minutes. He's not really a high production player for fantasy that I would play, but I also think there's some lineups that has Shake Milton out there playing point guard and maybe Ben Simmons filling in as a big, and that would be a scenario I'm much more curious with. So keep an eye on that. I have little to no interest for any of the Cavs, and maybe some errant shots at like Darius Garland for chip and chair on 30 fantasy points. But I think Derrick Rose is kind of fill that void for us. Let's get caught up on chat here before we move on, and then we will move on to the next one. Giuliano Gunn, is TLC getting any love tonight? Not for me particularly. Like TLC, I've said it before. TLC is more of one of those guys that I was playing. One, when everyone was out, right, in the bubble last year when there was no Karis LeVert and no anyone, no Dinwiddie. It was just him, and not only was it nobody else, but it was minutes. He was getting ridiculous minutes. So I don't hate, like, if you land on Luwawu, TLC, just because of the scenario today, but I think Jeff Green's back in the mix. So I just don't really have a reason to write home on TLC. So no particularly a special love for me. What up, Jim? Hey, Gunn, is Rose, Walker, and Embiid locks tonight? Lonnie Walker? If you're referring to Lonnie Walker, I would say no. 4,300 isn't it's a good matchup for Walker, and if he curtain calls 30 minutes, but his production is consistently inconsistent from a fantasy point perspective, and I believe DeRozan is in the mix for him, right? I think DeRozan was out that last game, and DeRozan's in this game. Yeah, so I believe DeRozan's available for this game, so I would take a step backwards on trusting Lonnie Walker, and not just DeRozan is Derek White's still out, so I don't know. I'm not. I don't think you're crazy for getting a Walker either. I'll probably have him in the pool, but lock is kind of a strong word. But Derrick Rose is fine, and Joel Embiid definitely fine. If you're locking Joel Embiid, understand that it is going to put some stress on your salary flexibility if you're prioritizing a guy like James Harden, which I believe everyone should be doing. Van Jones, if Jetty's out, I like Windler for value. All right, what about Korkmaz? So Korkmaz was really just a play for me when Seth Curry was out. But if you're thinking maybe it's a blowout or if he's just going to get there in 18 minutes, sure. It's just a punt play. Nothing else. What tier do I have Simmons? Simmons would be at best a tier 3. It would not be a priority, but this is still a matchup metrically that he can thrive against. Just out of curiosity, Ben Simmons, TKP by words, game log without Tobias Harris. Let's go last 10 games. We'll run the DKP last 10 for Ben, and then we'll follow up with Embiid. So we got a 15 to 60. All these 40s are uninspiring at this price point for the opportunity cost. And then Joel Embiid, last 10 games. Embiid's a little bit more pretty, right? All but one of his last 10 games without Tobias Harris over 50, and many of them over 60, including that 80 fantasy point game against the Miami Heat. I think Ben might have been out for that one too, but don't quote me on that one. And then in that 41, that one game under 50 was just in 23 minutes against the Atlanta Hawks. And if we put some context to that, that was earlier this year in January. Final score is 112-94, so maybe a reverse blowout. Yeah, they were getting blown out, and then Philly's backup squad put the catch up, so the final score doesn't look as strong. But yeah, so only one game here without Tobias Harris under 50, so seems very safe to lock Embiid in for 50 fantasy points if we expect the Sixers to one win or two be in a game that's within 15-20 points down the stretch. That's it for that, right? Nothing else? All right, let's move on to the next game here. The Washington Wizards hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves. This game could be a track meet shootout. I love it. Projects 35 for the T-Wolves. Ricky Rubio. Anthony crossing over with Anthony Edwards. Josh Okogie, Jared Vanderbilt, Karl Anthony Towns, the Big Cat, Ernie Ladd taking on Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, Garrison Matthews, Rui Hachimura, and Mo Wagner. A 237 total. The home team Washington Wizards favored by 4. They're putting together some momentum, getting some dubs. It should be another spot. Minnesota now on their third game under new management. So we're going to look at the last couple of popcorn machine game logs for Minnesota, maybe kind of get some tells on what we might expect from them in terms of minutes. See if the new guy changed anything up. So they've played Chicago, and I believe they played Milwaukee Milwaukee and Chicago. Milwaukee was kind of lopsided there. That was like the first game without or with the new coach, Ryan Sanders, moving on. And it looked like, from what we could tell pre-flop, it was Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. We need to get them minutes, and we need to get them the ball. And Cat, that first game played almost 36 minutes, probably plays 38 if they don't throw in the towel at the end there. And then Anthony Edwards at 28 minutes, again, probably plays over 30 if they don't throw in the towel there. Then the curtain call against Chicago Bulls. Anthony Edwards, 37 minutes. They went to overtime, so you take out that OT, mid-30s, and then Cat only got to 31, and I think that he fouled out right before overtime. Like, he was in big foul trouble throughout the majority of that game. So, he fouled out on that one. So I think Cat can easily be shadowed if you are paying up for center by Joel Embiid. And if we're just playing game theory and maybe some ownership pivots, Cat's in a monster spot. I also like on DraftKings the idea of, if you're really, really getting crazy, double down on the big centers, Cat and Embiid, and that could combine for 120. Elite spot against this Wizards team. Wizards, of course, going to be a team that offer one of the fastest paces in basketball, coupled by one of the worst defenses. If we go to that rundfs.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, open that team metrics chart, Washington Wizards currently have the fastest pace in basketball, and then contrasted by a bottom 4 defensive efficiency. So all the points you can handle is probably the best matchup that the T-Wolves have had in a long time. So I'm expecting big things out of Cat. And then Anthony Edwards, 6K, 6'3". I got him at 34 minutes. I think he'll be at least second on the team in shots, if not one. And I'm talking 20-plus shot attempts in this one. Took 20 shot attempts against the Chicago Bulls. Bulls, a similar pace team. 20-plus real points in that one. And I think he could do a lot of this same stat line, at least a lot of the same volume in this match against the in this game against the Wizards. So I like Edwards. I like Cat as my two guys from the T-Wolves. Cat, of course, would be above Edwards in safety. Edwards has a propensity to go 3 for 20. And then past that, I think you can make a case for Ricky Rubio. And then some of these kind of supplementary plays that are all at 20 minutes, you can spray and pray them for some value. But really it's just Cat, Edwards, and Rubio as the three guys I'd be looking at, with Cat leading the charge easily. And then Russell Westbrook, under 10K, still has 50-plus fantasy points in him. He has done that quite a bit. His minutes have been exactly what you want, and the matchup is one of their better matchups in a while in terms of opposing teams' defense. If we go look at that defensive efficiency chart, the Minnesota Timberwolves still bottom 10 here. So there's all kinds of upside and potential on Russell Westbrook. No one would be stunned to see Westbrook right now at 10.5, 11K, especially considering the little campaign and the stretch he's on. 50-plus fantasy points in 4, 5, 6 games straight, and 7 of his last 8. So no reason to really look away from Westbrook. This is their first home game in a while. I told the story on the last stream. Rui Hachimura mentioned it in an interview that Russell Westbrook had the team, almost an impromptu players meeting at practice, had everyone line up and explain what their role was, and it wasn't like an embarrass the person situation. Like, he didn't want Davis Bertans to say, "I'm just here to shoot," like as a insult. He just want everyone to understand how they contribute to the team. And ever since then, they've been on the tear. I think they only lost against the Clippers on that little stretch. So Washington might be getting a little dangerous. Bradley Beal, 9,200. In this matchup, we could see 35-plus real points, and then it doesn't take much else in the way of peripherals to get him to 50-ish fantasy points. I still prefer Russell Westbrook here for safety, and his propensity to get a triple-double is really, really high. But those are two for me. There's a little bad blood historically, I believe, between Mo Wagner and Karl-Anthony Towns. My brain's is a little foggy, but I think it was one of them's birthday. I think it was Wagner's birthday, Cat's birthday, and he stepped over him. I don't know. I have to look it up, but there's a little bit of a bad history between the two. And like I said, Mo Wagner is still one of the highest foul per minute players in the league over the course of the last season or two. So I don't have a high interest in Wagner, but I will say if he can stay on the court per minute, he is pretty efficient. So I wouldn't think he's the craziest click at 3,600, but you're giving up a lot of potential fantasy points by looking away from the mid to high tier guys. And then Rui Hachimura, I have not been playing him. He's just one of those guys, you give him high 30s and you still don't get 30 fantasy points. He refuses to break 30 fantasy points more than he doesn't. But this is a matchup that he might surprise us with an ample amount of minutes. So I might break my disdain in avoiding Rui from slate to slate. This is one of the softer matchups they've had in a long time. So if you put that 38 minutes that he's been getting per game in a matchup this soft, maybe, just maybe, he's a solid stock and stuffer for 30 fantasy points. One can only hope. Chat, you guys got any secrets on this one? Any plays that you love or hate? Let me know. Vanjo says, as a Wiz fan, for some reason I'm feeling a big game from Rui. All right, Vanjo, let's go. What up, Nade? Neil in the house? It must be a weekend, right? Neil, Nade. I swear you just show up on Saturdays, bro. What up, AD? Yo. We have the your emote. If you guys are channel members, you guys can flex on them a little bit. I was thinking about doing one channel member only stream per week. What's up, B fam? You doing all right? I'll spam click the yours. Let me double check my top shot here. I'm at, looks like 13.59 in front of me. So we're chilling. We're vibing. Open up Discord one more time. 20-30. Okay, they got a pause. 20-30 minute pause. I'm cool with that. I'm fine with that. Appreciate that, top shot. You guys doing all right? What's up, Nade? Nade, is it an Embiid day? Indiana Pacers at the New York Knicks. Project starting 5 for the Pacers. Malcolm Brogdon, Justin Holiday, Doug McDermott, Domantas Sabonis, and Miles Turner taking on Derrick Rose, Reggie Bullock, RJ Barrett, and Julius Randle, Nerlens Noel, a 218 total, a 1.5 point spread in favor of the home team, the road team Pacers. However, that may change as we went live. Malcolm Brogdon downgraded to questionable, so a lot of stuff could happen with that information if Brogdon ends up not playing. Certainly, we would boost TJ McConnell, not only minutes, but he likely starts, and we might see him push 35 minutes, and that has 40+ fantasy point potential, and I mean that. And then the matchups here that I want to take note of have been bigs against this Pacers front court. Last 5 bigs against the Pacers. First of all, I talked about what Robert Williams did last night off the bench. But Daniel Tice, 31 minutes, 32 fantasy points. Draymond Green, 47, 36. Karl-Anthony Towns, 53, 38. Clint Capella, 43 and 28. It's really been a point per minute plus spot for some active bigs. So Noel has a chip in the chair because of that. But man, Julius Randle, 8,900 on FanDuel, 9,400 on DraftKings, certainly plays enough minutes to project him to kind of be one of those maybe 15% owned guys, 15 or less, considering that price range gives you the reach at Westbrook and guys like that, and we still got prioritization on Harden and Luka and perhaps Porzingis. So Randle makes the mix. I want to talk about the guard situation here for the Knicks with Elfrid Payton doubtful. Derrick Rose started last game, and we saw Derrick Rose, Alec Burks, Emmanuel Quickley all be solid plays. I want you guys to be very cautious with that and don't be overly results orientated. In that game, the Knicks dropped 140+ real points. The most likely range of outcome for the Knicks is like 100, 110 points, maybe every now and then 115. I do think that offense will be more efficient for real points with Derrick Rose at the helm versus a guy like Elfrid Payton. I think Rose is a better scorer, but they ran into the worst defense the league has seen in a while, that Kings defense. So kind of taper your expectations. 140 points is wild. They had 77 points at half. They were just shooting really, really well. So take a step backward a little bit and appreciate that all those guards aren't going to be elite, or likely not going to be the elite plays today that they were against the Kings. And TJ McConnell definitely a little scrappier on defense. So with that said, as elite as all those guard plays were, Derrick Rose just 28 minutes in that game. It did get lopsided at the end there. We could popcorn machine what the closeout squad was. But I just want everyone to appreciate that the Knicks scored 140 real points, and that's probably not going to happen here. New York Sacramento game. Let's look up the popcorn machine on this one. Just kind of check out that fourth quarter. Who closed it out for the Knicks? Derrick Rose got a little bit of fourth quarter run, not a whole bunch, but played a whole lot in the third. And then it was guys like Taj Gibson, Alec Burks. Quickly got a nice burst there in the final quarter. Frank Ntilikina got put back in the rotation. Obi Toppin was in the mix. So really, Frank Ntilikina kind of got Elfrid Payton's minutes there. So I don't know that we expect Rose to be a deep minute guy ever, but I would say that there's at least a chance if this game tightened up there in the fourth quarter, because they did put him back in there, that maybe he is a 30-minute player. So I'm not necessarily on or off D Rose. I think he's fine. Give us a chip in the chair for 30 fantasy points. Maybe get a little bit more. Same with Randle. But I'm probably going to take a step backwards on Emmanuel Quickley. 5.5 on FanDuel, 4.8 on DraftKings. He was one of my core value plays that last slate. I think today I'm going to step backwards. And then Alec Burks still gives me a little bit of room. I think he's likely the next man up here in terms of minutes and production and a little safer minute floor. But none of these guys I'm running out of my way to play. I would love to trust RJ Barrett sooner or later, right? You feel like 5'4", 5'6", a little too cheap. Chip in a chair for 30 fantasy points, sure. But TJ McConnell is definitely the story here. And I would dare say, like, I'm curious to see where the field goes on TJ. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer now. But if TJ McConnell started this game with Brogdon was rolled out, and I had TJ at 35 minutes, I feel like I'd want TJ over Derrick Rose. Like maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm tripping. But I feel like TJ is just so efficient with the minutes that he plays, and he's such a good facilitator that I don't know. I think I land there. And he's been getting so many minutes, like enough minutes lately, that I wouldn't be shocked if there are some prop lines on him posted. 24, 27, 28 minutes, 30-plus fantasy points, well within the range of outcomes. Expect this game to be slow in pace, medium to low in scoring. Both these teams under 100 possessions per game. So other than that, like I'm kind of staying away. Miles Turner had a super solid game last night. I think on DraftKings, I'd be curious. I think both these teams, as medium pace that they are, if we pull up that team metrics chart and check out blocks per game allowed, and sorted by most, the Knicks and the Pacers are both just knocking on the door of top 10 in terms of blocks per game allowed. And we know Nerlens Noel and Miles Turner, that's a big part of both of their games. Noel averaging 2 blocks a game this season, and Miles Turner averaging 3.4 blocks per game. So definitely a fun spot for at least FanDuel to maybe take advantage of some more built-in blocks considering the matchup. But Turner's price over there is nice. And then I feel like it's fair to say that TJ McConnell is more of a facilitator than Malcolm Brogdon. I mean, he's not afraid to pass first. So is there a case to be made that maybe Miles Turner puts up more real points today than normal? Let's go pull up maybe the on-off court tool. Let's take Brogdon off and put Sabonis on first of all, because maybe we're just sleeping on some insane usage. Sabonis had 25.1% usage rate, just under a fantasy point per minute, just based off of that. 1.2 fantasy point per minute on Miles Turner, but there's like no minutes to back that up. 141 minutes on TJ McConnell, just under a fantasy point per minute. His assist rate is at 39.6% without Brogdon on the court. That's incredible. So, I think he'll be more of a pass first guy. Because of that, I think if you look at the 20 real points per game that Malcolm Brogdon contributes, maybe you put those points in the hands of other people. Justin Holiday can curtain call what he did last night. Maybe he gets to 30, but he kind of needs to at this price. Maybe Dougie McBuckets can surprise us at his price, but I don't think we're getting extreme value there. I think my brain's most curious with Miles Turner. I think Miles Turner at 6K on DraftKings might have enough meat on the bone that I could take advantage of. And we've seen some big games against the Knicks front court. I was just talking about rebound numbers against the Knicks in the last 4 games. Karl-Anthony Towns had 15 rebounds against the Knicks in 32 minutes. Nikola Vucevic had 16 rebounds in 38 minutes, and Clint Capella had 18 rebounds in 37 minutes. So if I can put 33 minutes on Turner, I definitely think blocks and rebounds will table set him at 6K. And the fact that TJ McConnell would have such a high assist rate, maybe Turner gets to that double-digit point threshold, and he's just a super solid play. So in those lineups that we prioritize James Harden, Luka, Russell Westbrook, all those high-end point guards, maybe Miles Turner is that mid-tier center to kind of attack. And I think we can easily justify the matchup based on all the metrics we just spit, right? Let's see what else we got here. Let's get caught up on chat here for the Saturday splits. AD says you're doing well on Top Shot. I never got anything on it, to be honest. My account's, I think, valued at about 5K. It's between 4 and 5.5K, depending on what time of day it is. But yeah, right now I'm in line for that everyone gets a pack thing. And I'm waiting for that Cold Cats challenge to close to get that AD card. Then I'm going to liquidate my entire collection. And hopefully I'll be sitting on around 8K, hopefully. And then we'll just re-roll it into something else. Mr. Portugal, Gun, can you explain the Top Shot waiting line? It's basically a queue. Today's wait is, I believe the gimmick is everyone gets a pack, no matter what. And it'll be like a 2-week waiting period for them to get you that pack. But essentially, you join the queue, and you get a number like you're at the DMV, and they're processing their transactions based on that number. So when they do the more limited pack releases, where there's 5, 10K packs, it's the same thing. You join the queue, They opened up the waiting room 10 minutes before lock. And then at lock, everyone that's in line is assigned a random generated number. And just like the DMV, they'll call you if you're up, right? Vance's Mo Wagner flopped and fell, and Cat laid the ball in his lap. That's what it was. And then Mo was kind of salty. I feel like it was Mo Wagner's birthday. It was one of their birthdays. I don't know. I don't know why I'm remembering that. Embiid is in play. A little bit of a risk for blowout. Slightly prefer Cat over him, but definitely solid turn. Yeah, Embiid has one game in his last 10 without Tobias Harris under 50 fantasy points. And that one game was a wrong side of the blowout in 21 minutes where he dropped 40-plus against the Atlanta Hawks. Been snapping. I'm leaning more on Gibson than Noel. He's been finishing games. All right. Good take. C-Dot got me a Top Shot pack and been scalping all morning. Tried to be cute and fade quickly. Scalping today's pack? I feel like it's not worth that much, but maybe you can trick some people. Brogdon question. Yeah. Been snapping Clayton getting minutes after last. Claxton. Nick Claxton. I think there's an argument for that, for sure. I think the last game for Claxton, wasn't Jeff Green out? I think there were some centers that have been out. I think Jeff Green's missed a couple games, so maybe that helped Claxton out. But with Kyrie out, maybe they go stretch. They re-rack the weights there, and maybe Joe Harris and whatnot can play a little bit more too, and Jeff Green plays a little bit more 4. I don't know. Right now, I got just Tyler Johnson starting as a shooting guard, but we'll see. What up, Damian? What up, Gunn? My best line yesterday got a 320. CP3, Fox, Powell, Van Fleet, OG, Sadiq Bey, Bagley, Boucher, Plumlee. Nice. Plumlee, we expected more from Plumlee, but what are you going to do? Turner hits threes too, at least 2 or 3. Yeah, Miles Turner will definitely shoot from beyond the arc. And the Knicks, not great, not bad against the 3-ball. Or in terms of points allowed. Why am I getting a lot of Trey Lyles on my optimizer? I think he's just a chip in a chair pump play, and LaMarcus Aldridge has a chance to not play today. Talking about scalping the market. Yeah. Oh, working that marketplace is nice. If you guys played MLB The Show and you worked the show marketplace, it really trains you for this moment. Gun, there are 3 teams projected to win tonight. They are Utah, New Orleans, and Indiana. So be careful with Indiana now with that Malcolm Brogdon news. Indiana is on night 2 of a back-to-back, right? Didn't they play last night? Here's my case against Indiana. 226, yeah, they played last night. So they're on night 2 of a back-to-back, and Malcolm Brogdon's questionable. And he was downgraded midday. So a lot of times midday Qs, I tend to think they're closer to out than in. And the New York Knicks are one of the best or one of the better defenses in basketball. I think we've kind of mentioned this over and over. If we go to defensive rating, the Knicks have a number 3 rated defensive rating, behind just the Utah Jazz and the Lakers. I mean, that's some elite company. And the only reason that that's not a prevalent storyline is the fact that their offense has been so lackluster. But D-Rose over Elfrid Payton might pick up some of that offensive goodness. So I don't think the Pacers would be a lock in my book to win this game based on the Brogdon news, based on the back-to-back, and based on the fact that I think the Knicks might be a little bit undervalued based on some of the stuff that's going on here with Rose getting a little bit more run here. But Utah should, and New Orleans defense is really bad too, but they should as well. Yeah, I don't know if you're just trying to run money lines or trying to get some point lines, but I definitely don't have a high level of confidence in the Pacers. I just think that game's a lot closer. So sniping, yep. Gun, can I fit in Harden and Embiid in FanDuel tournaments? Yeah, FanDuel? Come on, bro. You could probably fit Luka in that line too. Utah Jazz at the Orlando Magic. Next game on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Jazz. Donovan Mitchell, Joe Ingles, Bojan Bogdanovic, Royce O'Neal, Rudy Gobert taking on Michael Carter Williams, Evan Fournier, Dwayne Bacon, Al Farouk Aminu, and Nikola Vucevic. 221 total, 9.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Utah Jazz. Donovan Mitchell with 8,300 on his FanDuel name, 8,500 on his DraftKings name. He's the poster boy of this stream. We made that before Kyrie was rolled out. But he's in a fun spot here because Mike Conley's going to sit this one out. And Mitchell without Mike Conley, we've seen this just a couple weeks ago. Nice little usage bump for him, and then high minutes if the game stays competitive. And we've seen scoring guards put up really nice numbers against the Orlando Magic on the season as well. So I liked it. I love the idea of Donovan Mitchell in and of himself. But now since the Kyrie news came out, maybe it shakes up what his ownership will actually end up being. But just putting some on-off court magic on this. Magic because Conley out, Donovan Mitchell in. Donovan Mitchell assumes a 33% usage rate. That's elite levels, and just about a fantasy point per minute. Team offensive ratings at 119.1 points per 100 possessions, but that defensive rating takes a step backwards, and it drops to 114. So put that in perspective. Let's take Conley back in the mix. And matter of fact, let me just put Conley on with Donovan Mitchell. 104. So that team defense definitely takes a hit there without Mike Conley. And that's something to kind of take note of. And I think that's a good thing, right? The worse defense you play, the better Donovan Mitchell's offense has to be to keep them in it and keep them competitive. They are coming off the night back-to-back as well. So basically what I'm saying, either way, we're going to slide into some Donovan Mitchell. Probably start him at the tier 2 spot. We saw Joe Ingles start in the absence of Mike Conley in that last stretch. He's definitely somebody you could chip and share for 30 fantasy points. Maybe not as consistent as you want him to be at this price where you need that 30, but they're definitely somebody that can get it. And then my favorite guy to target whenever you can put Ingles from the bench unit to the starting unit is Jordan Clarkson. Why can't I quit you? I love me some Jordan Clarkson, 6th Man of the Year candidate, under 6K on DraftKings. I'm looking for 30 fantasy points. When he gets out there by himself, he's going to shoot. And when he's done shooting, he's going to shoot some more. Look at these 3-point attempts, 12, 10, 10, 7, 12, 13. It's dumb. It's stupid. On FanDuel, Jordan Clarkson is 55. So, yeah, you get me a solid window floor to ceiling ratio of 25 to 40 fantasy points. I'm about it. The Orlando Magic are really bad at overall defense. There's no other way to cut it, allowing ample amount of points via the 3-ball. It's just a really good spot. Rudy Gobert is also in an interesting spot, but I think he's kind of priced out of or priced into no man's land here. If we put this game staying close, you're looking at Nikola Vucevic. He's been the catalyst in the Magic succeeding or failing during this stretch without Aaron Gordon, without Markelle Fultz, without Cole Anthony. Not the best spot, but he is probably the archetype of a center that would pull Gobert away from the rack, right? Gobert, the closer to the rim, the better he is. Maybe Vucevic can get off here. Maybe we see if he has a history here. Vucevic, DKP by game log versus Rudy Gobert. Let's go last 10 games on that one. So on January 4th, Vooch dropped almost 50 in 33 minutes, 22 and 13. And I think that should be similar to the roster that he's going to be working with today. Should be. Let's look at the starting lineup. They had Fultz and Aaron Gordon, so it's not similar at all. I don't know, chat. What's your gut reaction? Do the Magic keep this game competitive? You know, we make a case here. Jazz, night 2 back-to-back, way on the road here. Couple different time zones jump, and no Mike Conley, and we've seen the metric bump it does to their defense. Not that the Magic, I think, are an elite offense with all those key absences, but is Vucevic one of the sharp contrarian center, right? 10K, Embiid and Cat just seem to make all of the sense. But is there a world, like, it seems like if the Magic are involved in keeping any game competitive, that it's on the back of Nikola Vucevic. Is Vucevic at 10K? Is there any merit into playing Vucevic over those guys? 32 and 33 minutes against Brooklyn, Detroit. Losing in both those games. Brooklyn game that got blown out. Right? There's no way we click his name over Cat or Embiid here, but I don't know, man. Maybe they surprise us and keep this game within 15, 18, and give us all of the Donovan Mitchell, plenty of Joe Ingles, and all of the Jordan Clarkson. Let's see what you guys got in the chat. What's up, Ariel? Appreciate you, Gun. Good stuff like always. I appreciate you, Ariel. That's an amazing name, by the way. Ingles will be balling when Conley's out for sure. DK stud pricing's tough today. Yeah, you want to go studs and scrub here, right? Like there's so much opportunity from the 8, 9, 10K players, but the value's not as here I am yet, right? All the Clarkson, yes, sir. You like Royce O'Neal, Jim? I think Royce O'Neal is just always a punt, right? But he's sub 5K, but he's not that far from 5K where I'm really wanting that 25 to 30 fantasy points to make a statement in tournaments. If you play him, you play him. I don't think you're crazy, but I don't know if I'm there, right? For FanDuel. So what do we need from Royce on FanDuel? 4,400. We probably want a couple blocks, a couple steals. You're probably never going to get like more than 10 real points, but you just want a minute and peripheral his way to 24, 25. I don't know if he makes my final cut, but like he's not the craziest name I've heard. he's just there. What's his official usage rate? I'm curious. In this scenario, O'Neal has a 10% usage rate, but it is a fantasy point per minute in 531 minutes. So there's that. They use Royce O'Neal as kind of like their shadow cornerback to go against some of the higher usage guys in the other team. I don't know if they attempt to stick him on Vucevic or maybe Fournier. But other than that, I mean, I guess if he is averaging a point per minute, go for it. Maybe we rerun this little StatMuse query and put Royce O'Neal's name in there for fun. Royce O'Neal, DKP by game log without Mike Conley last 10 games. $25, $33, $33. Clippers, Philly, Miami, 32, 30. Obviously, there's a range of outcomes, so flip it to FanDuel. 24, 34, 38. And that's coming with three steals, 3 blocks, 3 steals, 1 steal. You're kind of wanting the stocks to be there. Orlando Magic don't necessarily have a extremely high blocks allowed or steals allowed, but I guess there is a world where he does just fine at that price point. So yeah, maybe he makes the risky value pool, right? Billy Mack, top 4K under 4K play. Billy, can you tell me what site you're looking for? And I'll reference my projections. Van Jones, Ingles or Maladon? Ooh, is it crazy to say that Maladon might be a little higher floor? I don't know. Ingles is 30 fantasy points more often than he's not, I think, without Mike Conley. Let's pull up his last 10. 26.1. I feel like Ingles' floor isn't super rock solid, but 34 against Philly, 36, 35. But there is a range of outcomes for 25. Maladon last night, nice little confidence boost. I might go Maladon there, but I don't think like there's any reason to suspect that that's a snap call or anything like that. Evan Fournier, 6'6", 6'5". If we put this game close, I think Fournier's really intriguing. I mean, we saw him in 7K-ish on last slate. I think mid-30s fantasy points is what we're looking at here. And then one thing to note about the Utah Jazz, they're going to chuck threes. They chuck threes, I think, more than any other team in the league. So maybe the Magic have to fire back. And who's going to chuck threes for them? Fournier, Terrence Ross. So maybe we can game script them in the mix. I don't think we're getting a fantastic deal value-wise, salary-wise. But just from a game theory standpoint, sure. He had 15. I think he had 12 assists, but it was like a career high in assists, Maladon. I think that's a great confidence boost, and maybe they try and push him more towards pure point guard. Yeah, 12 assists last night, which is 3 to 4 times more than normal. And it was against the Atlanta Hawks, who we know are just not a great defense. So, man, I don't know. That's really close. I guess Ingles is probably more fair, right? Is it just me or small forward at dumpster fire on FanDuel today? Well, let's take a minute. Go look at small forward. See what's popping. What's happening. I think Fournier's fine. I think the shot volume will be there for Fournier. So yeah. Also, I didn't highlight this, but Malik Beasley, I think he has a 12-game suspension. So that's even more of a bump for Anthony Edwards in that matchup. So just be cognitive of that. Michael Porter Jr. is kind of iffy. Rui Hachimura, I guess. We're going to put 35 minutes of him in a positive matchup. But yes, small forward is not great. RJ Barrett, chip and chair 28, 32 minutes of him is bad. Yeah, it's not fun. So if you just want to use the small forward as the punt position, go for it. But I do think there's a couple very valuable plays. Like I still think while the median range of outcome for like a Fournier or an RJ Barrett or somebody like that is more like 25, I still think there's a range of outcome for Fournier to be like a 30, 35, maybe even a 40 if the Magic really came out stunned and the Utah lived down to that defensive efficiency without Mike Conley. We've seen 43, 45 in games against Golden State and Detroit. So he's definitely going to be he'll probably be number 2. He wouldn't be less than number 3 in shot attempts on the team. Like him, Vucevic, and Terrence Ross would be the 3 guys you expect to pick up the scoring here. If you think Gobert kind of stifles Vuce a little bit offensively, then yeah, you got to lean on Fournier and Terrence Ross. And so I think there's at least reason to land on Fournier, and a position that looks that shallow in terms of good plays. We can overpay for 5x. F it. We'll take 25 if that's just what we need to do to win that position. I don't mind that. Jamal Murray, Jamal Murray, okay. All right, let's move on to the next game here. San Antonio Spurs hosting the New Orleans Pelicans. Project starting 5 for the Pelicans: Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Stone Cold Steven Adams. It's going to give you one board. What? Taking on Dejounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, DeMar DeRozan, Trey Lyles, Jakob Poeltl. Am I not Poeltl enough for the Poeltl Club? 234 is our total. 2.5-point spread in favor of the visiting New Orleans Pelicans. LaMarcus Aldridge questionable. Rudy Gay, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell out. Weatherspoon and Derek White also out. So we have a decent chunk of minutes to put on guys like Dejounte Murray. And we are facing the New Orleans Pelicans, a team that plays a slow pace but offsets it with a really bad defense. 116.3 points per 100 possessions allowed. So the Spurs are a little bit more volatile in terms of who's gonna thrive day to day. And an AK Dejounte Murray is a little rough. So I don't know that I'm pushing the issue there. I loved him last slate without DeRozan and limping in there with some G League superstars, literal G League superstars, Lucas Simonik. This game, I'm willing to take a little step back, but I'm still cognitive of the fact that it's the Pelicans, man. Pelicans just allow some big games, and I think that's fair to think that Dejounte Murray in deep field tournaments could still have 50 fantasy point potential. It's probably not the median range of outcome. I got 40 fantasy points on him, but even at 40, I don't think that eliminates him. But I do think from the chalky lineup construction where we have eyes on the prize on 50 fantasy points from Embiid, Cat, Westbrook. We got Harden without Kyrie. We got Luka against the Nets. We got Porzingis in the mix. Like we have higher expectations, and early on, it feels like we at least get some value or some salary retrieval, if not value. You know, a couple 6-5K options. The guys like potential T.J. McConnell, Derrick Rose, Anthony Edwards in the 6K. So it does kind of feel like Dejounte Murray is not going to be somebody you get to a lot. So maybe that makes him an elite tournament shot, but I can't expect him to be extremely high owned. And then same case for DeMar DeRozan. You know, he's at the 8K range where I need 40 plus. Matchup's fine, but do you get there often? Trey Lyles will probably pop in a lot of optimizers just based on his price and potential opportunity if Aldridge is down. I wouldn't push back on that. I get it. And then Jakob Poeltl, same song and dance here. I think in those lineups where you want to focus on those high-end guards, the Westbrooks, Harden, Luka, Jakob Poeltl could be an interesting click. I already kind of like Miles Turner a little bit. But 5,900 for Poeltl on FanDuel, 65 on DraftKings. Pelicans, chip at a chair, bad defense. Can he get to 30 fantasy points, be a fantasy point per minute? Sure. And then Patty Mills off the bench at 4,100. I don't think it's the craziest reach in this scenario. I do think Patty Mills can be a guy that gets to chuck some threes. And off the bench, assume a lot of usage, a lot of responsibility. 8, 5. He's going to chuck threes. Double-digit shot attempts for him in the last 2 games. Of course, that last 1 game is very, very anomalic and unfair to kind of replicate stat lines with that game, especially opportunity and field goal attempts. But I think they score more than 99 points today going against the Pelicans versus the Thunder. So Patty Mills, at least on FanDuel, if I can chip in a chair him for 25 fantasy points, I think you could. I don't think he's eliminated from the pool just yet. Julianus says, Gunn, is Thibault in your pool with Harris out? You probably. So I think there's a case for Thibault to start. Like a lot of sites are just projecting Mike Scott right now. Does he make the pool? I want to say knee jerk no, but I guess if we really think small forward is that bad, if you just want to punt the lowest salary possible for a shot at 25 plus minutes in a potential blowout game where you might clean up anyway, and you're just trying to get 20 fantasy points, I guess there's a case to be made. Otherwise, I think Thibault is just kind of like a PJ Tucker type guy in terms of production. He's really out there to eat minutes, and in Thibault's case, he's out there to play some defense. And there's not really like, go shut down Colin Sexton, I guess. Maybe some mix and match with Jared Allen. So it wouldn't be a priority if he cracked the pool, and if he cracked the pool, it would just be because I want a pure punt small forward on FanDuel and no other reason. So yeah. Solid picks with Shooting Gun. May I please have an overall view of the slate to this point? I got here late. All right, we can do that. So real quick. James Harden is the most expensive player. Kyrie Irving is out. Luka Doncic, with or without Kristaps Porzingis at Brooklyn, seems like a super solid play. Domantas Sabonis usage should go up with Malcolm Brogdon potentially out. He was downgraded questionable midday. If Brogdon is out, I love the uptick in minutes and opportunity for TJ McConnell. Joel Embiid is home against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Embiid has been going at it with LeBron James in this MVP campaign race, and I think this could be a freebie spot for Embiid to really stat pad against the Cavs. And also Tobias Harris is out in the last 10 games. Without Tobias Harris, Embiid has scored over 50 fantasy points in every game but one, and that was a blowout against the Atlanta Hawks where I only played 20 minutes and still exceeded 40 fantasy points. Karl-Anthony Towns is at Washington. They have a new coach. He's been playing deep minutes for the T-Wolves. Anthony Edwards also gets a boost here. Malik Beasley is out, serving a 12-game suspension, I believe. Russell Westbrook, under 10Ks, dropped 50-plus in 5 or 6 of the last 7 or 8. Randall potentially at 9-4 gets overlooked. We have seen guys thrive against the Pacers front court. Elfrid Payton expected to miss that game. Derrick Rose gets another boost. Bradley Beal still cheap. And that's it. I think that's it. Oh, and Donovan Mitchell without Mike Conley. We know his usage goes up, and he's 8,500. That's it. I think that's it. I think that's all the important stuff. All right, let's get back into this slate, and let's go check out Oklahoma City Thunder hosting the Denver Nuggets. Project starting 5 for the Nuggets: Jamal Murray, Monte Morris, Will Barton, Michael Porter Jr., and Nikola Jokic taking on Theo Maledon, SGA, Lou Dort, Darius Bazley, and Al Horford. We got 220.5 total. The visiting Denver Nuggets favored by 7. Thunder, night 2 of a back-to-back, got a lot of juice out of everyone from but SGA. From a fantasy perspective, Theo Maledon, Dort, Bazley all thrive. Horford was out last night, I believe. Isaiah Roby played, so Horford's added back to the mix here. That should strengthen their front court, beef them up a little bit. and maybe lower the fantasy ceiling for SGA, who is 9-1 on DraftKings. I just don't really see a reason to get there today. And Maladon could curtain call a really strong performance yesterday. However, I would assume that his assist percentage, one last night was super anomalaic. He's averaging 2.9 on the season. Yesterday he got 10 over that, and then we add Al Horford back into the mix, who can also eat at the assist rate. Nonetheless, to 4,300 for Maladon, maybe last night gained some confidence points for him, sure. On the Nuggets side, Nikola Jokic is almost 11K on both sides. I think I can out points per dollar him by looking at Cap, by looking at Embiid, but at the same time, 60-plus fantasy points is a reasonable range of outcome for him. I got him projected for 55, 56 on the nose. And Jamal Murray's been on an absolute tear. But I think this is a slate where I'm just backing off of Murray. Road game, lopsided spread, and you might see a little bit of that Lou Dort defense for a good chunk of this game. So I think Murray is expendable at this price point. So I'm staying away. I'm staying away from that. And I really don't know that I land on a lot of this game to begin with, right? Big old slate, couple of games. We might need to be nominated for the old X button. This might be a game where I just don't have anyone in particular. Maybe on FanDuel you get back to a corner and you just think Will Barton, you know, you're chipping chair in 25 to 32 minutes and hoping that gets you there. Sure, he has not been consistent at all, but go for it. Sure. I probably know SGA for me here because I probably just prioritize Donovan Mitchell at the same range on FanDuel, right? And then Al Horford on both sides, you know, freshest legs on the court. Maybe he shows up and shows out a little bit against Jokic, but we don't ever put deep minutes on him regardless. So I'm down on this game, chat. If you guys got that bad feeling in your knee with the storm coming in on somebody in this game as somebody you're going to be a little bit more bullish on than the field or than myself, please share with the class. Let me know and maybe throw a reason or two why. Billy Mack, DraftKings Boston, what do you think on Ben Simmons tonight with no Tobias Harris? So Ben Simmons just kind of gets lost in the sauce for me in terms of price. And then what was the question? Oh, top 4K under on DraftKings. All right. So, yeah, sure. We can go look at the player projections tab and go look at some of the top value plays projected. And these are from projections from like an hour ago, really hour and a half ago. So a lot has changed. I have not adjusted for like Brogdon or anything like that. So we'll sort this tab by highest projected value. So under 4K. Looks like Tyler Johnson's looking really, really nice. I have him at 3,200. Right now I got 28 minutes. I might have to fall back on that, but 28 minutes in that matchup, can I get to 20 fantasy points? I think it's possible. So that's technically under 4K. And then we mentioned that Malik Beasley's going to be out. So we might have to distribute his minutes maybe evenly to a Jarrett Culver, Noel, Okaji, somebody like that. So maybe one of those ancillary Minnesota T-Wolves in the matchup against a fast-paced, bad defense Wizards gets there as well. So, but I guess if I had to put a name to that question as it stood now, Tyler Johnson. But I might have to revisit that when I get off the air to kind of like look at what don't they have like Landry Shamet and Chris Chiozza. It just kind of I don't know. I just threw an obscure number there for now. Mr. Shadow Dog, at the end of the day, it's all about PrizePicks. Fire you give out. Yes, sir. Sean V. Washington's on fire right now. They'll blow out the T-Wolves. T-Wolves are awful. It's very possible, but the Wizards blowing out teams seems a little bit. It's very possible. If there's a team you could blow out, it's probably the Timberwolves or the Kings. But like I know the Wolves, like the Wizards are winning games, but they're just fighting, right? Wizards scores. So I don't know that I'm projecting a blowout, but I don't think it's an insane thought. But for the most part, these games are really, really competitive. And because of how bad the Wizards defense is, it's just kind of hard to put them blowing teams out. Yeah. But if you think they blow them out, sure. I'm not even sure that a blowout would push me off of some of these minute projections for the T-Wolves. Remember, new coach trying to see what he's got and come up with some rotations that he likes. What about the Zingis coming off injury, says Rick? I don't think he would play unless they thought he was ready to go. So if he's active, I'm just going to put him for his usual 30 or so minutes. We have just one game left to talk about, so I'm going to take a pause for the cause. Let me check my spot in the queue. We're still good there. Jack, can you guys help me out? We got 120 plus of the coolest cats on YouTube we have scientifically proven that if you hit that thumbs up button, your chances of profiting big tonight exponentially increase. So I would appreciate that. If you guys want access to the spreadsheet that we've been using throughout the duration of the stream, it is a premium perk of having a sub club membership at rundfs.com. If you guys want to check that out, rundfs.com. I think there might be a link in the description. It may not be. It's rundfs.com. Make yourself an account. Go to VIP passes. There's week pass, 2 week pass, month pass, and then we unleash the All-Star to All-Star break pass. $200 get you locked in until the baseball All-Star break. So you're going to get daily spreadsheet access for NBA, for baseball, and then of course you get 24/7 Discord access, and the Discord community is an amazing one. We have first of all, it's very family and fraternal. My actual girlfriend's in here, just always posting pictures of our cat. But we have a lot of big time winners, a lot of grinders. We lead with Always Be Placing. He won the Million Maker December 4th, the first week of December, the NFL Millionaire Maker. A. Dean's won 100K in NBA, the 100K tournament. Jake Charlie Cartman's won the 100K tournament, and then last night, Russ Miller binked the 100K on DraftKings to $555. So we got some guys that have some knowledgeable mindsets and great approaches to DFS, but then we have just people grinding at all different stakes, quarter arcades, 20 entry maxes, stuff like that. So no matter what your bankroll or experience level is, there's people here that you guys can interact with and be part of a community. And then every day before lock, we're hanging out in the VIP voice chat. You guys can grab a mic, join in, or you can just listen in, and you can hear me, Chronic, Raj, and some of these cats make yo mama jokes while talking NBA. It's a very fraternal spot. We have the Top Shot community growing, and yeah, that's it, right? And baseball's coming up tomorrow. Spring training games. Get to see one inning of our favorite baseball players. I think the Yankees are going 7 innings with the Blue Jays, so I'm hyped for that. And yeah, so come be part of that. Also want to let you guys know about our friends at PrizePicks.com. If you guys are into prop betting and maybe don't have access to the sports books like DraftKings or FanDuel, or even if you just want access to softer maybe softer lines, but especially softer reaction time, PrizePicks is definitely something you guys should have tabbed. For instance, earlier when the Kyrie news came out, they didn't adjust their lines right away. Like I think DK and FanDuel, they'll pull the lines off the board right away. But PrizePicks kind of slowed to the gun here. They allow you to create 2 to 5 pick parlays. Today, they're adding an extra % return on your flex parlay cards. So if you guys want to take advantage of that, go check them out. They offer lines to bet on based on fantasy scores, which is the same scoring as FanDuel, single stat scores, points, assists, rebounds. They also have college basketball, MMA, NHL. Is this disc golf? Is that what I'm seeing here? I don't know what disc is. I think it's just golf. League of Legends, Xfinity, NASCAR, soccer. Plenty of stuff to make some fun cards with. But NBA, of course, my favorite. And we have a tab in the rundfs.com VIP spreadsheet, the player props tab, to kind of cross-reference my projections with their lines. So if you want to check them out, check them out. But if you've never played on their site before, we got a pretty cool partnership with them. If you guys use code GUNDACKER when you sign up, they'll actually instantly match your initial deposit up to $100. So $10 becomes $20. 20 becomes 40, and 100 becomes $200. You can go out there and just spray and pray a bunch of $5 cards, and maybe up to 10x your money back on some of those 4-leg power play cards. So go check them out. If you use code GUNDACKER when you sign up, you get that instant deposit bonus, and it supports the YouTube channel and the YouTube stream. So that's one of those ways to help out the channel and not actually have to come out your pocket. Matter of fact, you can play like you're normally playing and still find a way to show some love to the channel. So check them out. Great alternative to the sports books, and it's a great way to further reward the research you're already doing based on what we're doing right now. We're analyzing every game, and there's going to be guys that we identify that should be in better spots, but maybe they're not practical salary-wise or just the way lineup construction is there. So we still want to bet on what we know that a guy's increase or decrease in value will be. That's a site to do it, bro. Let's get you caught up here. Anthony Edwards, Towns is number one in that team. Everybody knows that. Yeah, Towns is number one, but Anthony Edwards still top draft pick. Should thrive with this opportunity before him, right? We have 124 people, only 5. We only had 5 likes. No shot. No. Oh, that's pain. Dodgers have some scrub named Mike Kickham starting at pitcher tomorrow versus the A's. Dang. Y'all playing 3 stars on it on FanDuel? Yes. On DraftKings, I don't know. Frisbee golf was that what? I know disc golf is a thing. There's like courses around here, but no shot that there's fantasy for that. I feel like that was just golf, and I don't know what I'm doing. What teams would you stack to win today? So stack as in 3 or more. The Nets it would be 1. Potentially the Mavericks. I think you could get away with 3 Timberwolves. I don't think Rubio, Cat, and Anthony Edwards all live mutually exclusive worlds where they can't coexist for fantasy. Maybe the Wizards of Beal, Westbrook, and Hachimura, as painful as that sounds, could get there. The Pelicans are always like 40-40 for Ingram's Zion, and then Lonzo has a range of outcomes for 30 to 40. You could probably get away with 3 Jazz, Mitchell, Ingles, Jordan Clarkson, and kind of ... Rudy Gobert's in the mix, and we've even discussed the idea of a Royce O'Neal. Yeah, so there's that. I don't know if I'd get to 3 Sixers based on their prices. Main event tonight, Brooklyn Nets hosting the Dallas Mavericks. Project starting 5 for the Mavs: Luka Doncic, Josh Richardson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, Kristaps Porzingis taking on James Harden, Tyler Johnson, Joe Harris, Bruce Brown, Jeff Green. 233 is our total. It was a pick 'em earlier. Out of curiosity, I don't know if I jotted that down before. I think that was after the Kyrie news, but just out of curiosity. Curiosity, a.k.a. I want to take a sip of coffee. Looks like the Mavs went to a buck and a hook faves. So line movement has essentially gone 5 points since the game opened based on Porzingis' status and Kyrie's status. So a 5-point swing. We'll track that as we get closer to lock. And then we'll look at the Pacers. The Pacers, I had them at a buck and a hook when I did the spreadsheet. Now they're -2. So I don't know if Vegas is reacting to the Malcolm Brogdon news, right? And then, yeah. All right. So this game's pretty self-explanatory when it comes to the Mavs. When Luka and Porzingis are active, those are really the 2 guys I only want. Porzingis, I think, is priced at a spot where he could destroy at 45, 50 fantasy points. Luka at 10-6, 10-8. He's got to get you that 60+. I think this pace and the defense of the Nets should offer him all the potential in the world to get us a triple-double. So definitely there on that. There's a case to be made that a 3rd Maverick could enter the chat. A J. Rich, Jalen Brunson, and or a Tim Hardaway would be my bet. And that's probably where I land there. Maybe a DFS gets there in 30 minutes and we settle for 25. But Luka and Porzingis, the 1 and 2 here. On the net side, James Harden without Kyrie, without Kevin Durant. I don't think you guys, honestly, we don't have to run their numbers. You know, James Harden is just going to be full on dumb in this scenario, but we're going to do it anyway because why not? KD, Kyrie off the court, James Harden on the court. We have 240 minutes of sample size in 20 games. We've got a 34% usage rate, over a fantasy point per minute, a 56% assist rate, which is actually stupid. With that in mind, what does PrizePicks have it for James Harden assists today? I think he's averaging over 11 on the season. They might even have a number for Harden. I got Harden at 30.5 real points. And then assists, they have Harden at 11.5 assists. At a 50% assist rate, there's probably a good chance James Harden has like 16 to 18 assists here. So I'd probably take a little stab at that. 56%. That's dumb. That's dumb. I will say that their pace is slow without KD and Kyrie. But yeah, James Harden is James Harden. He should be the highest floor to ceiling ratio guy on the slate. A very realistic shot at 60 to 70 to 80 fantasy points. You guys know the drill on that one. I have Tyler Johnson filling in without Kyrie here. He's near min price on DraftKings, min price on FanDuel. I don't think you really get to him on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, sure, maybe he fills a spot on a slate so far, a little shallow in terms of value. My 28 minutes might be a little high. I think Chioza, Landry Shamet, all guys that could interrupt that. And I also think there's a case that because the Mavs are a little bit bigger in their front court, Kleber, Porzingis, maybe a Bruce Brown just plays the 2 there, and we get Jeff Green at the 4, DeAndre Jordan at the 5, and Tyler Johnson just goes to the bench. So I think I might have been a little too quick to put 28 on Tyler Johnson. So I'm curious to see what the Nets roll out, if they try to play a little bit bigger and maybe try to play a little bit slower to kind of match the Mavs and be a little bit more methodical. Got to assume that Joe Harris would be number 2 in shot attempts and real points scored. Joe Harris is averaging 1.3 fantasy points per minute in that on-off court tool scenario with a 19.5% usage rate and 124.1 offensive rating. So, yeah, got to imagine that he would be the guy to maybe handcuffed to a lot of those James Harden assists, getting to a Joe Harrison at 4,800. Yeah, I'd be a little bit of a buyer here and hope that maybe you combine those two for a 60-70 and maybe a 30-40 for Harris. Is that crazy? And then also I think there's the world where Bruce Brown just plays really, really deep minutes. So that's where I'm at on that. Nick Claxton, if you look the last couple games for Claxton and the Nets, you might think that Steve Nash is willing to throw him some of those minutes, and because they might have to play big in this spot, sure. 14 and 15 minutes. I believe in those games Jeff Green was out. So maybe Jeff Green just takes those minutes back, yeah. But with Kyrie out, there could be everyone goes to the wing and guard spot. Jeff Green plays the 4, and maybe Claxton gets you some big man backup minutes here, and the Nets don't play as small. I think that's a possibility. So kind of keep an eye on that. If that happens, DeAndre Jordan would likely start with Green at the 4, and then I think he would be the first big backup. So, yeah, I think this game's mostly self-explanatory. We kind of understand the usage rates for both teams. What's up, Lorenza? Doing all right, bro? Hope you're doing all right. Jeff, Clarkson, Windler if Osman's out, or Wagner and Turner. Yikes. Are we on Dylan Windler like that, man? $24-22 point per minute. Maybe. I love the idea of Clarkson without Conley, assuming all of the usage off that second unit. But I didn't really look at... So I got to be honest, man. Windler doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies here. I mean, these last 2 matchups are really, really plus, right? Atlanta Hawks, a bottom team in defensive rating. Houston's Houston. I wouldn't get over enthused with the last 2 games there. It seems like there's a very wide range of outcomes. Like 14 to 20. So I don't know. So the 2v2 is that or Wagner and Turner. Man, that's so tough, Jeff. I guess if you go Wagner and Turner, that's going to double down your center spot, right? But that'll give you the looks at those Harden, Westies, Lucas. So maybe that one. I love Clarkson, but Windler's just like whatever. But I guess Windler wouldn't even be a thought if Osman was in, right? Juliano says, Gunn, you had me on TLC way back only when Kyrie and Durant were out. Can you run the numbers on TLC in that spot? Sure, but the big TLC games, like I said earlier, are when we could put giant minutes on him. I'm talking 35 plus, and that was before James Harden. That was like bubble Nets. He was playing 40 minutes. It was like him, Joe Harris, LeVert was out, Kyrie was out. Like, it was tough. I think right now, if you play Luwawu, it's just a punt, right? I don't think you're necessarily crazy to do it, but I don't necessarily think there's like a reason to be overly bullish on him being anything but a punt today, as we stand now. He's another guy that maybe stretches out a little bit, right? Rolling in the Benzo with Lorenzo. Let's go. 3:34. We got a little time. Chat, you got any lasting questions, comments, concerns, anything like that? Throw them at me. Did that queue start back up for Top Shot? Jesus H. 1 sec, guys. What the timing on that? I'll look at tomorrow's slate real quick. Guys, I gotta order this Top Shot pack real quick. Hold on. while we're getting the Top Shot, hit me with those questions, comments, 1v1s, 2v2s, and make sure you hit that thumbs up. If you haven't hit that thumbs up yet, show me some love, man. Show some good vibes, and double check, see if you're subscribed to the channel. If you guys aren't subscribed and you want to get notifications when I go live, you can hit that subscribe button. You can also ring that notifications bell. You get a push notification on your mobile device, and some of you guys have it set up to get it on your computer. And then if you follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Gundacker, you'll also likely see when I tweet. I tweet when I go live. You guys show love on that. Hit the like on the tweet. Maybe retweet the tweet. Get it some interaction. And maybe we bring some new eyes to the channel as we try and grow slowly getting to almost 5.2k subscribers now. So we've been at that 5k threshold, what feels like 2 years, but I think we're starting to see a lot of consistency in the channel lately. At least you guys are. We're putting up daily streams. This payment processing is taking forever. And then, of course, I have a lot of brainchild ideas about content to put up, but I'm trying to find a happy medium in the content, because the DFS space for content is a very rat race space where most of the content is just empty air, and it's a race to put the first video up. And it's the night before an NBA that's almost irrelevant by the time noon or 2 p.m. hits and news comes out. At the same time, there's no replay value. So like, you can't hate on people grinding to get the video up first, because the shelf life of a DFS video is a couple hours. Like, there's no reason to watch this stream tomorrow or ever again. So there is a medium to be found. I think some strategy videos are kind of where I need to land, but I was also thinking of doing that night stream, like DFS tonight, which is, I got some ideas floating around for that. So we're definitely working on expanding the channel. I have another channel with 3,000 subs as well. I might incorporate that. So just kind of be on the lookout. This payment is processing for like a year now. I'm just gonna hope it's good. But if you guys were in that Top Shot queue today, I hope you guys get that aforementioned Anthony Edwards big card, right? Clarkson or Curry DK tournament. Seth Curry or Jordan Clarkson. For me, that would probably be a snap call on Jordan Clarkson. What 3 players from Minnesota? Ricky Rubio, Anthony Edwards, Karl-Anthony Towns. Did the channel go away for a while? Did the channel go, or you mean did the YouTube channel go away in terms of content, or did the stream go off the air for a while? YouTube channel did. I did get a 30-day suspension randomly last summer because years back I had a poker video up and there was a link to the poker site or something in the description, and I got kicked for, or no, it was the DraftKings, all these DraftKings links in the description, and they ended up tagging me for for that. So now if you notice, a lot of the DFS content sites won't put like referral links in the description, but rather like in a top comment, because that's, I don't know, that, and whenever stuff like that happens, you can't talk to anyone at YouTube. You just have to deal with it and move on. So there was a little gap where YouTube smacked us, and that's when I kind of gritted my teeth and kind of pushed some of the live streams on Twitch. But we came back. Twitch isn't perfect either. How do you get my cheat sheet tonight? It's a premium perk at rundfs.com. Should definitely try to do a live for late slate show. I bet you have a rack of people. I think Osmo has a live late show. I don't know. I also have to balance being a boyfriend, you know, if I'm just live all night. But I do want the channel first hit the scene as a night show, and we just shot the breeze for 2 hours with a bunch of people. So I might try and kind of bring that back to an extent, but not be super married to being only Slate breakdowns, right? Never comment. I always lurk. What's up, WS? Man, this payment process takes forever. Anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today, making part of my day be part of your day. Tomorrow, there's plenty of basketball. There's a noon game or an afternoon game, Clippers in the Bucks, and then on the main slate, we got Wizards night 2 back-to-back at the Celtics. We got Bulls at the Raptors, Grizzlies at the Rockets, Hawks at the Heat, Knicks at the Pistons, Knicks night 2 back-to-back. Warriors at the Lakers, Suns at the T-Wolves. T-Wolves hosting the Suns on night 2 of back-to-back. And Hornets at the Kings. That should be a lot of fun. So I will try to do a live stream tomorrow. I haven't had a day off in like 2 weeks, but I'll definitely try to keep it grinding. And we'll try to grit on through until the NBA All-Star break. So if you guys want to carve some time out to hang with me on a Sunday afternoon, I will be here. Keep on being boyfriend guy. Once you have kids, it's done. I mean, I have a kid, but not this one. We're working on it. Right now, we just practicing. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys as always. Hope you crush it tonight. Twitter.com/GundackerSports. I'll see you guys on the next one. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money.